Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Jeremy Rockliff's newest cabinet has been sworn in at Government House, with yet another new face on the front bench. It's the government's third ministerial reshuffle in a year, which the opposition says proves it's a struggling government.
Declaring her allegiance to the people of Tasmania, Jo Palmer was officially sworn in as a Minister of the Crown. But the government's newest frontbencher could have her work cut out in primary industries.
We're having troubles in a lot of our industries with a lack of labour. So it's a matter of what other measures we can do to address that.
The minister is one of 3 inexperienced faces on the front bench, and the opposition says it's a sign of a government in chaos.
They've been in government for 8 years now, and they've seen so many revolving doors that the cabinet they have before us today is very different to the ones the Tasmanians elected less than a year ago.
The Greens say the resignation of 3 key ministers in as many months shows a need to increase the size of Parliament.
They need ministers who can attend to their portfolio responsibilities without a stupidly huge workload, and they need premiers who don't collapse from exhaustion because they're overburdened.
Parliament has been delayed until May 3 as the government awaits a recount in the seat of Bass to return to its 13-seat majority. But the opposition says there's no reason why it couldn't have returned this week as planned.
And the fact that they're afraid of scrutiny, they're afraid of putting their ministers to the test in the Parliament to take questions that the Tasmanian community have. Why else aren't they here to do their job?
Any government, quite rightly, has to bear the brunt of scrutiny, and we are up for that.
Jeremy Rockliff's team will have the chance to prove if it's up to the task when Parliament returns. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, a Liberal candidate has again reaffirmed her opposition to a Tasmanian senator's bill to ban transgender athletes from women's sport. Bridget Archer says the issue could be damaging to vulnerable communities, as Anthony Albanese rallies for support in Tasmania's north.
Another day, another marginal Tasmanian electorate for Anthony Albanese, this time Lions, promising $31 million in funding to mend what he calls the epidemic in a pandemic.
We've seen real pressure on people's mental health in particular.
Offering bulk-billed psychiatric telehealth consultations for Tasmanians in rural and regional areas.
People should be able to access quality mental health care irrespective of your postcode and your income.
Following yesterday's figures gaffe, the Labor leader found an ally in the enemy.
Look, people are human.
Bridget Archer walking forward on a $1.5 million transformation of the Exeter Showground facilities, helping cater for a growing number of female sporting clubs.
If the girls are in the change rooms, the boys are out at the back of their cars getting changed, and they're just not really up to the standard we'd expect of 2022.
But she won't support a controversial bill making it lawful to ban transgender women from playing women's sport.
I'm just conscious about not seeing vulnerable people used politically.
The Bass MP's public opposition flies in the face of the Prime Minister, who yesterday backed Claire Chandler's proposal.
I believe that women and girls have a right to single-sex sport.
An economic recovery driven by construction is what Master Builders wants.
For every dollar spent in building and construction, $3 is returned to the Australian economy.
Calling for 300,000 more tradies over 3 years and investment in manufacturing to ease the burden of soaring building costs on Tasmanian businesses.
It's put a huge stress on the industry.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
2 people in their 60s have died with COVID-19 in Tasmanian aged care homes overnight, as the state recorded more than 2,000 new daily cases. The Tasmanian Prison Service is also managing a COVID outbreak, with dozens of inmates now infected.
All prisoners will be tested over the course of the next 24 hours. And of course, there's a COVID management put in place. There
are 11,500 active cases in the community. The Red Cross is in desperate need of O-negative blood ahead of this Easter and Anzac Day long weekends. Supplies have hit their lowest point in 12 months. Currently, there is only 2 days of stock.
We have an additional 250 appointments that we need to fill across Tasmania, but we're urgently looking for patients with O-negative blood, as this is a universal blood type that we can use for emergency situations.
Jan Beams has given blood more than 100 times after seeing how critical donations were to relatives and friends battling cancer.
An hour out of your day is very little, considering how much good it can do. And then a couple of days after you've donated, they send you a little message saying, thank you for this, your blood or your plasma is now being used at X hospital somewhere and has saved 2 lives. And it makes you feel, I don't know, warm and fuzzy.
The Hobart and Launceston donor centres will be open on Good Friday for the first time. Well, Easter is looking very sweet for Tasmania's tourism industry. Hotel vacancies are slim, with some accommodation providers recording their best autumn months in years.
It's a sign of the times. Things are turning around. Trevor Donaldson from Balmoral on York in Launceston is still getting used to welcoming guests back.
To go over the maps and where the restaurants are, it's a learning curve for us again. For 2 years we didn't do that, so it's really good.
Bookings are bursting.
It's the busiest March-April period we've had since 2015, and there's no sign of it stopping through Easter, through May, through June.
It's a similar situation in Hobart, where most hotels are booked out for the Easter long weekend. Pennicott Wilderness Journeys is also cruising towards a busy April, but staffing is proving difficult.
We've got about 10% of our workforce out being either a close contact or with COVID, and that is the highest we've ever had. We are actually advertising now for multiple jobs through our business, which is the first time that we've ever been advertising in April before.
Those staffing issues are being faced by airlines too. Hobart and Launceston airports are yet to feel the full effect of flight delays and cancellations impacting travellers on the mainland, with crews crippled by COVID. And for those looking at heading around the state on wheels over the break, camper vans are in short supply.
I booked out for Easter probably back in January, and then even then since then I've had phone calls asking like if I've got vans available and stuff like that. So demand's been really high for vans, and everywhere is just fully booked out, people just struggling to get a camper van and a car in general.
Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
More Tasmanians can access after-hours care without a visit to the emergency department through another round of government grants to help GP clinics and pharmacies extend their operating hours.
It's going to make it a lot easier for us to attract general practitioners who want to come and work and feel supported, and it will most definitely mean that we can increase the number of patients that we can see through the clinic.
Labor is calling for after-hours nurse practitioners to be employed in regional hospitals. Well, Dark Mofo is preparing for another successful year with more than 30,000 tickets already sold. The tourism industry will gain a much-needed boost from the event, with interstate and overseas patrons responsible for 63% of sales. The City of Hobart is investing $150,000 into Dark Mofo, as well as funding equipment and waiving venue hire fees. The festivities will begin on June 8, with more than 100 artists lined up, including the Kid Leroy.
Meanwhile, it'll be somewhat of a Tassie homecoming for Lions coach Chris Fagan when Brisbane takes on the Hawks at Utah Stadium next month. The sides will do battle on May 22, with the AFL releasing its latest round of fixtures. Prior to the blockbuster, North Launceston and Lauderdale will face off in a TSL curtain raiser. Tasmanian athlete Peter Brown has been offered the opportunity of a lifetime, named as Australia's flag bearer for the upcoming Invictus Games in the Netherlands. The former soldier from the Northwest described the honour of leading the team as a privilege. He'll represent Australia in a number of sports, including wheelchair rugby and basketball. The Games begin this weekend. To hockey, and round 4 of Tasmania's Premier League competition has proved tougher than anticipated. Some teams cracked under pressure while others recorded drought-breaking wins.
It was a tough battle on the hockey field, but University proved no match for Canterbury.
So we had to be patient, but in the end it obviously showed on the scoreboard.
The women's outfit breathing a sigh of relief after scoring its first win of the season, beating University 4-0. The side hoping a new coach and consistent teamwork will shoot them further up the ladder.
With Tom Beard coming in as coach, the culture is a little bit different and it's a really positive kind of reinforced team to work together.
University's goalkeeper Georgia Ferguson was a weapon in the net, but Lucy Munt and Kaylee DeMarco still managed to score 2 goals each. Canterbury's men's league also secured a win despite players expressing disappointment with their performance.
We should have been better than what we were. 2-0 wasn't quite good enough.
Their close call coming down to flawed basics and the nerves of new recruits.
We were in the exact same situation last year and we started to crumble mid-year, so now it's about really hammering down.
Easter weekend will give the teams a rest before going head-to-head with OHA. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. Launceston's 20 the state's top today, but that was after a low of 2 degrees. Fairly cool overnight in Burnie and Devonport as well. Tops today of 19. Hobart a high of 18. Ross the lowest minimum with -1. Wynyard and King Island 19 degrees. Low Head, St Helens, Friendly Beaches, Grove and Bushy Park all 18. Flinders Island and Strawn 17 today. Cloud covered the west, central and southern regions today. Partly cloudy elsewhere across Tasmania. Not much rain and all that. A moist onshore flow is pushing cloud over Tasmania and along the coast of southeastern Australia. A band of mid to high cloud is over the Bight, thunderstorms over the top end. Tomorrow a high passes to our north, a low moves over the Bight as troughs continue over the mainland. The west to southwesterly winds will ease tomorrow and become more variable in the morning, swells to 4.5 metres. Strong wind warning in the south, that's for waters between Tasman Island and Low Rocky Point. Hobart expecting 21 and partly cloudy tomorrow, cloudy for Geeveston, 20 the top and 19 for Bothwell. Launceston a high of 23, 20 the top for Devonport and mostly sunny, fine for Cressy and 22, 20 the high for Burnie, shower or 2 for Strawn, 19 the maximum. Curry on King Island, partly cloudy and 19 as well. 20 the high for St Helens, mostly sunny in the east, Swansea 21 and Orford 20 degrees. On Thursday, fine and partly cloudy for most, a 70% chance of a shower for Strawn. A few more showers across the state on Friday and again on Saturday, but easing during the day. A partly cloudy 25 in Perth, sunny and warm in Adelaide, partly cloudy in Melbourne and Canberra, showers forecast for Sydney and Brisbane. A little bit of cloud around at the moment, 16 in Hobart, Launceston 15, Devonport 15 as well. Kim, I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired of this election campaign already. By the way, how much is a carton of eggs, extra large?
They're actually about $8.50 to $9.50, and I know that because we go through a few. There you go, I'm all over it. Didn't work, Merv, didn't work. That is all we have time for tonight. Enjoy your evening ahead. For now, good night.